This is Kamp Kenan. Oh boy. All right, so you've seen me putting animals away for the cold. Well, today I'm taking animals out. Man, it has been in the 40s every night. Finally getting back up into the high 70s now here in Florida. And we're going to do a bonus video where I'm getting everyone out. But you're also going to see how I heat everybody. And I really wanted to do this because it's an exciting video to do and it's timely. So check this out. There is the Mertens monitor. And he looks nice and happy, but I'm going to go ahead and grab him. And look at that. I mean, when I say it was 40 degrees out last night and he was perfectly fine, he feels warm to the touch, no issues at all in that box. You just have to make sure they're in it. Sometimes, as you'll notice, look at this. Come on over here, Tom. You see, I took out all of the mulch because what was happening is this guy was preferring to dig into the mulch and not go in his hide box. So, yeah, exactly. So the problem was on a night like that, he'd think that he's all burrowed down and he'd be safe, but unfortunately he wouldn't be. He'd be in a lot of trouble. So I kind of just made it more hospitable for him to go into the box than to go down into the mulch. So we're gonna let him go. Up here, he can walk up there. He's probably gonna do his thing. But I wanna show you how I'm heating these things. It's really cool. ZoomEd hooked me up. They've been really good to me. And so many of you ask, how do I heat the animals? Well, today I'll show you all the different ways in which I do. So basically I'm using their large Reptitherm habitat heater, okay? When I took temperatures this morning, the lizard was in the 80s. I've put some cork bark on top because if he chooses to sit on top, it's going to be cooler than if he's actually touching the actual plastic heater. All right, you want to give them an option to cool down. Very important. He can come on over to the side here and he's on a rock where it's cooler. So he has that option to get warm or to actually stay cooler. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't put a door in this yet. I'm just going to go ahead and unscrew it. And this way, when it's time to go back in tonight, he'll just walk back in. We're not going to get into really cool temperatures too bad tonight. More agreeable temperatures, if you will. But let's go ahead and see who's next on our little jaunt. Let's get everyone done. Yeah. This is cool. I love this cage, man. This is definitely working out really well for these monitor lizards. Let's just say hello to Pinky. You guys haven't seen her in a little while. Let's see how she's doing. Oh, there she is. She's looking pretty good. I actually came out here earlier and she was ready to eat my fingers. She thought that I was going to feed her, but she wants to stay in there. She can actually dig out. What I did was I took a bunch of mulch and I just packed it in this little cave that she's got made out of cork bark. But again, using the ZoomEd habitat heater, it works very well. Remember guys, Florida doesn't have the same type of cold snaps as the Northeast, obviously. We're gonna get cold, but when I say it gets into the 40s, it'll get like to a maximum of like 48 degrees, 42 degrees, and that's only for about an hour, and it's usually the pre-dawn hour. Pre-dawn. There was my New York accent came out pretty thick there.
So that's cool. Wait, you made a cave entrance?
Yeah, out of cork bark, man.
So
look at her. She's so tough.
So she goes
out and comes out and goes in and out, and she's dragged some of the mulch in there, which is acting similarly as the cork bark on the Mertens monitor. So she can actually get up on that or move out here if she wants to get a little cooler. And then if she gets too cool, she can move back in. So this, she's very active after a very cold night. No issues. And I made this very simple for me to get in and out of. So it's just a simple plywood box. The habitat heater is on the bottom, and that's it. We don't really need to insulate this particular box. Some of the tortoise sheds are going to be insulated because they're a little bit larger. So it's a little bit more difficult to keep heat, to heat a larger area. So I want to be more energy efficient when I do that. So I use some of the, as you'll see, I use some insulation just so that I'm not tearing through my power bill. Let's go on over to the sulcatas and get them out next. These guys are, they've been cooped up. But what I am going to do, and as you guys, some of you who follow a long time have seen, I have a smaller section. They're not really out in the large yard. I'm keeping them in the small yard because I think it's going to get into the 50s 2 nights from now. So it's just a lot to move these guys back and forth. I can feed them right here. There's no issue with these guys moving back and forth in this habitat. It's large enough to make them happy. But I know, you know, the funny thing, you know, it's funny is like, I think we did a video where I'm doing a similar thing, like either putting them away or letting them out. And I mentioned I was going to fix this door. And that might have been 3 years ago. It's just as easy for me to do this, man. I'm horrible. There's so much stuff going on at camp. You have to pick your battles. And most of the time it's warm. So I just do this. And we let the tribe come on out. There's Lumpy. He's the first to go. Let's open it up and make sure everyone's good. There they all are. Come on, guys. And you can feel in here. It's nice and warm. So it's insulated up here, insulated on the roof. And these guys stay nice and warm when they're inside their shed here. So it's pretty cool. I love it. All right, we're going to keep moving because we have a lot to get to. A lot of animals are looking for a little sunshine. Let's walk over here. So here's a new box that I've made. And I'm going to use this box right here probably for the rhino iguanas that I got from Dave Lackland. I got to cut a door into this, but this is just a simple setup, man. I'm going to take another one of those ZooMed habitat heaters. I'm going to get it in the bottom here, and those guys will be able to have plenty of space. I'm going to fill with some gap filling foam these little lines, and I'll repaint this thing. See, this was actually a crate that I got the Batagra Finis in. Okay, but it was such a nice box. I figured why not use it as a heated shelter. So that's what I'm going to do. We got lizards in there. We got a cage to build. Let's go see who else is out and about. Oh, let's go get Darwin and Socrates out. Now, I had a real interesting night the other night when it got cold. I put them away, but didn't lock the door. I put a boulder in front of it. But they came out before it got dark. I had to go to a dinner. When I came back, it was about 10:30 at night. And of course, the tortoises were out, and it was already really, really cold. So it took me about 45 minutes to drag Darwin from the far side all the way back over here. But I got her going. We're going to go ahead and open her up. I threw some screws in here. Now let's get Socrates.
But that's got to be like the last thing you want to do when you come home at night and you're tired.
Oh, it's
and
unreal.
then you got to spend 45 minutes getting a
No, it's
tortoise.
the worst. It's the worst, dude. It is not any fun. So let's do this. And they're ready to come out. And then we're going to get Nostradamus out. Here he is. And I check all the temperatures all the time. You guys have seen videos where I come out in the middle of the night. I check the temperatures. They do very well. Stays in the high 70s, low 80s in there with minimal effort. And that's because it's all insulated. So when you have these larger hide boxes, if you guys are really looking to save on money and efficiency, you got to insulate them so that these guys stay nice and warm. All right, let's go do the radiator tortoises next. Then we'll get some of the leopards out. We got all sorts of tortoises that need a little space. And he's covered in cobwebs. Sorry, buddy. Get that out of there. All right, let's do it, man. Let's go on over here. Don't look over there. Don't look that way. I don't want to show it yet. You guys have to wait for the proper reveal. We got a new habitat. All right, so we wander on over here, back and forth all over. It's one of the most stressful times, the Florida winter, believe it or not, because you never know what you're going to get. You could have days in the 80s and then it'll drop down too cold for the animals. So it's imperative that you have the proper shelters for these animals, because this is the time of year, if an animal's gonna get sick, it's gonna show itself here, because their bodies are getting a little stressed. You may have animals that don't really experience any kind of cool weather. So you gotta be smart and you gotta do the extra work, and that work is creating these little habitats. Or these little, oop, come on in here. These little situations. There we go. All right, guys, come on out. Oh, one's already out. Look at that.
I haven't seen the radiator. It's here now.
Oh, this is
their new area.
Yeah. Tom hasn't been down in a while. It's good to have Tom back. You know, he can finally, I don't have to hold a camera, which is pleasant. But yeah, man, they're doing good here. And I did all this work, Tom. Look at all that work I've done. Let's see. Oh, it's a leaf. I thought it was a tortoise. It's just
No, it looks good. It's really cleaned up around
yeah.
there.
And what's great
Not that it was bad, but it's great now. You know.
No, it's nice because what's happening is these guys are my little yard workers. They're going to continue to eat and keep this at bay, so it'll make it easier for me to come in here and chop off palm fronds and stuff like that. Next, let's go this way. I kind of took you on a zigzag across. Usually I have more of a pattern to what I'm doing, but no pattern. But you're not allowed to look at this, so keep looking at me.
I'm angling away.
Yeah,
no one can see. No one can see.
Dude. Don't look at that. It's not ready. All right? It's not ready for public consumption.
It's cool though.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I hate to do it. Maybe will that be the next video after this one, do you think? When are you going to get
I guess I'm stuck. I guess I have to make it the next video now.
Cool. Yeah, people are going to be dying. I can't keep that thing a secret for long. Okay, next up, let's get these redfoots out. We're going to bring them on out. They'll come charging out. Then the elongateds. It even got so cold I didn't want to risk it with the elongateds. So I had put them in. Uh-oh. Let's go. We got an elongated that actually got out. Must have flipped upside down.
Oh boy.
And we've already done a video. Look, so you know that is, he's trying to relieve himself because he doesn't want to suffocate. So there. Oh boy. We'll just go ahead and move this. I need to get another cinder block. So now those guys are ready to come on out. We'll get these redfoots ready. Oh no. Here's one of the bummers of when the animals have to be locked up.
Pile up.
No, not a pile up. Someone laid an egg and it got crushed. Because they're locked in, you know. That sucks. That's a bummer. Well, there's no shortage of redfoot tortoise eggs out there, and there's no shortage of them in my incubator, but it is kind of a bummer. It just means
I have a question. Does that mean, I'm sorry, you're probably going to get to that, but is that when you got to lay an egg, you got to lay an egg?
Yeah,
there's no holding it back, right?
No, it's kind of like once there's a chemical the body secretes called oxytocin. Yeah, oxytocin, and oxytocin is a once that's secreted by the body, it triggers labor. Happens in human beings and in tortoises. So one of the ways that we want to sometimes get egg bound, like if a tortoise is egg bound and hasn't laid the eggs, whether it be because the substrate isn't right or for some myriad of reasons, they'll inject the tortoise with oxytocin, and if they have no obstructions, they'll be able to just drop the eggs in a few, maybe an hour later or so. Other times, if an animal is really impacted with eggs or egg bound, you have to surgically remove them to get the eggs out, like open the tortoise up. So what I'm saying is, once the body produces oxytocin on its own, the tortoise needs to do what it's got to do, so to lay the eggs. And then, unfortunately, in this case, the egg got smashed. Now, what I want to see is, there is a tortoise pile up here. Everybody is home. But look, you can look in there and see everyone. But again, nice and warm in here. They're all stirring. I'm just more interested in making sure that everybody's healthy. So like I said, I'm okay with losing an egg. We have plenty of them. And sometimes that happens. That's the reality of when you're working with tortoises. Let's get the other cherry heads out. Gosh, man. Oh, look at this one flew to coop. Now these elongateds are really tough. They must have climbed out and didn't flip over. But let's see. She's cool. She's cool, but she's okay. Wow. They are so tough, the elongated tortoises. I did it as a, just because as a precaution. I figured, 40s, I don't know, 2 nights in the 40s. But as long as it warmed up enough to where they were able to keep their body, in the 70s during the day, then they're not going to be in any trouble.
I guess it's good to know, as long as she doesn't get sick.
As long as she doesn't get sick. The thing is if we had, like we did back in 2010, we had 2 weeks of really cold temperatures. It was horrible. People lost collections. As you know, the iguanas were falling out of the trees. A lot of the Burmese pythons died because it was a very, very rough patch of 2 weeks. Now, 1-2 nights for these animals, not a big deal. But when it gets longer than that, that's when you got to make sure the animals are all cared for and warm. That was like the worst year ever, man. And you want to talk about stress. Holy, I just felt bad that the animals were cooped up for so long. But at the end of the day, when you're dealing with animals that live on average 80, 90, 100 years, what's 2 weeks, right?
Right.
Hey, listen, whatever. Okay, so these are the cherry heads that are coming out. So these guys are all gonna file out one at a time. I just love showing you folks what I do. Like I said, I hang sometimes the ceramic heat emitters to keep it a little bit warmer, but this is a larger pad than the one I have in with the Cubans. It's more slender, so I added a ceramic heat emitter on a light fixture, and that keeps the Cuban iguanas warm because they have the exact same situation as this, as the Slinky. So we'll go ahead and shut this, but you notice, larger volume of air on the inside. You want to do that insulation because these are low wattage heat pads. They don't draw a lot of amps, but they can really put off some good heat if you do something like this, and, you know, insulate it. All right, let's go get the leopards out and Hercules out. Sound good? Sounds good. Follow me. All right, so we got to get, see, can't forget everything, you know. Let's get the rhinos out. Hey guys, excuse me. Good to see you, good to see you. They'll come out on their own now and that'll be that. It'll take them a minute. They're on their own schedule. Oh, that sun feels good. Can't wait to get rid of this thermal. Who wears thermals in Florida? It's horrible. Okay, it's a little dark in here, but we're gonna open it up. We got a heat radiator going, we got heat lights going, nice and warm in here. These guys are gonna be let out into a smaller outdoor area today. They're not going full on, and we'll get Hercules out. Here he is. He's the biggest pain because I actually took Hercules out of the sulcata enclosure because they were fighting and it wasn't getting better, and you know what, it's just best for me to not have to deal with these guys fighting. So check out where Hercules lives. I gotta build him a shed, but until then I'll be wheeling him back and forth between that shed where he spends the night in this bin when it's cold. So don't film over there, don't, just tight on him, don't film over there, don't film over there. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so anyway, we may have had some construction go on here this week, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Hercules. Let's get him going. Now, some of you may think this is a little rough, but it's not. Watch this. Right out, the Herc. Now he's ready to graze and wander and be a tortoise. And I'm ready to just go find another thing to film for you. If you guys like what you're seeing here, don't mind him. If he's making a beeline for the exit, I can beat him, I promise. Yeah, so if you like what you've seen, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also go to patreon.com/Kamp Kenan for more exclusive content not found on this channel. Help us make more videos for you folks. So go on over to patreon.com/Kamp Kenan and become a patron supporter. And yeah. Well, did I mention that between now and the end of December, you get a free t-shirt if you join up from the, what was that, Tom? Is it the $20 level?
Marquee tier.
The marquee tier, that's right, the marquee tier. If you want a free Kamp Kenan t-shirt, go on over to Patreon and join us. All right, that's it. We're out of here. Thanks. Talk to you later. Follow me on Instagram. Bye. Radiated eggs.